Welcome back to the show Eye on South Asia. Prakash, you heard about this quieter fiasco in New Delhi for the India Today conclave, where Salman Rushdie could go very easily without being seen as a man who would create a civil war, as it was seen in Jaipur just a few months ago. Probably a figment of imagination of some people who had more eyes on to the politics and the casteism of the politics in India than to be allowing a nice event to happen. And Salman was not even allowed to go live on live broadcast. Here, Salman Rushdie was the man. He was a keynote speaker, and the beauty about that is, actually, originally the keynote speaker was supposed to be Imran Khan, and who is very popularly seen in Pakistan today as the future prime minister, and is drawing great support. But because of his firm ideas, Salman Rushdie is obviously not in line or in league with Mr. Imran Khan. And once they say Imran Khan found out that Salman is going to be there, he refused to join and attend. Not only him, actually the Union Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee, Mr. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav, including a few other top leaders, refused to come to the event. But let me tell you one thing: when Salman spoke there, in the whole audience, there was constant claps and appreciation of when he spoke. I mean, you have known Salman for a long time, and he speaks so well. He's so exact. I mean, he said, I actually mentioned his words. Rushdie said, Deobandi bigotry and kneeling to mullahs had not worked for the Congress, because he thinks they are the people who pushed him from joining in January, alluding to their recent loss in state elections, during which the party was accused was trying to win over Muslims in Uttar Pradesh with inducements of job quotas and other blandishments. He has the courage. He speaks his mind. I think he's a very unique personality, and he has the capability to write, express, and stand up. Moving on to our own home front in New York, Mr. Kamal Nath is the minister in India, and there was a case filed against him from Sikh for Justice. We covered in Eye on South Asia last year. That was in April of 2010, actually, when a case was filed against him. But not only him, actually, the government of India was sued. But judge ruled, the US District Judge Robert Sweet found that this was not adequate service and that this personal jurisdiction over the defendant was never established. So he said he was not served properly by Sikhs for Justice, who had filed a lawsuit claiming millions of dollars for the people who lost their lives in 1984 Sikh riots in New Delhi. And the case is dropped. I sometimes wonder that such an important case, such a serious action, how this could be handled, I would say almost so, in an amateur manner. The saying is that Mr. Kamal Nath was standing outside the Indian consulate, and somebody served him there, and he, I think, did not accept it. Then they went inside and gave it to the man who attends at the staff, the reception, and he refused to accept it also. But they gave it to him somehow, and he threw it in the garbage. I mean, is that how you plan to serve such an important case? You should know everything about law, number one. Number two, you should not be just giving it and saying, and it was actually during the press conference, the press corps told Mr. Kamal Nath that such thing has been served.
One journalist even gave him the copy.
And he said, I don't know.
Someone have been served.
He pleaded ignorance. He had no idea. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, I have not authorized anybody to accept summons on my behalf. It was as simple or as stupid as that. Such an important case was handled, and it's been...
See, the question of jurisdiction laws.
True.
India has got a very clear jurisdiction laws. You cannot sue an American in India unless the guilt happened in India. Mm-hmm. The American had made a misdemeanor or a crime in India. I cannot sue somebody sitting there. But in the US laws are so different. We can sue anybody from any part of the world sitting in New York. So it's the jurisprudence that's issue and the locale is more important. Here, I think the US laws are so different, we can do anything. In this case of Kamal Nath, I was there in the consulate when they came and handed over to Saurabh, one of the staff of the consulate, saying that please give it to minister, and they threw it in the garbage in front of me. Then they came to inside, they want to give it to the minister, he refused to accept it. As you rightly said, Indian consulate is territory of India. That whole area belongs to India, that territory. If it is impossible for somebody from outside to come here and give insight, crossing the police security. So it's a question of, kind of understanding or lack of understanding how a summons could be served in a foreign country for an Indian citizen.
Should the group who was obviously advised by lawyers of this country not know what is right and wrong?
One of my friend attorney said very simple. They could have sent a FedEx to his Indian address. Automatically he's going to get it signed. You need a proof of address. And very simple thing, instead of running around the consulate, they could have FedExed it and showed that as a proof. Of course, this is how sometimes they make the mistake of interpretation of the law.
Very unfortunate and very, I would say, wrong handling of such an important case. Yeah. Coming back to what you mentioned earlier, of course, we have an issue. We have a situation with somebody like Darun Ravi. On the other hand, we have 3 out of the top 10 kids who have won awards in the national science competition, which is actually called the Nobel Prize of Science. Nitin Tuma, who is from Fort Detroit in Michigan. It's a very small town, a few miles away from Detroit, has won the competition for his research on breast cancer treatment that are more effective and less toxic. And his project was about figuring out how a protein helps cancer evolve and hide from the body's immune system, and he got $100,000.
Yes.
Look, this is exemplary. This is the Intel Foundation's annual gala, which takes place in Washington, D.C. It was last week over there. And it's unbelievable. This is the kind of work we need to talk about. This is the kind of accomplishment we need to be discussing about, presenting to the society, being a role model in the society. And not only this guy, they're on the 6th place, Neil Patel from Geneva, Florida. He got $25,000 for a device that uses sound instead of pictures to convey information. And on the 7th position was Anirudh Prabhu, 17 of West Lafayette, Indiana, who received again $25,000 for demonstrating that odd, perfect numbers which equal the sum of every number, they can be cleanly divided by a lower limit. I guess it's something like above my level too. But I'm amazed with these kids, with the way they perform and bring us sense of pride. I think it's extraordinary for us.
Excellent.
This is something from your backyard. You're from Chennai, and I'm sure your state and some of the people in your family and friends must have suffered about the furor that's going on in Sri Lanka and about the war crimes of the Sri Lankan army and the resolutions that are being passed, and they were all looking for India's vocal support for it, and to say that whatever happened in Sri Lanka against the Tamils was wrong, and India was kind of not sure to speak about it. What do you think?
Actually, when you look at it, the India's foreign policy towards Sri Lanka was pre-1991 and post-1991 when Rajiv Gandhi was killed. Pre-1991, Indira Gandhi and also a bit of Rajiv Gandhi supported the LTTE because they wanted to have a foothold control of Sri Lanka.
And they wanted to manage the control of China.
And they trained LTTE militia in Tamil Nadu, not far away from Madras, and armed training was given to Indira Gandhi, and they were sent to Sri Lanka. It's all on record. It's a public record. After the killing of Rajiv Gandhi, the whole thing changed. The government of India started identifying totally with the Sri Lankan government, rightly or wrongly, and then started accepting whatever the Sri Lankan government say or gave. And during the war of Tamils, when thousands of Tamils were massacred and killed, still the government of India wanted to go with Sri Lanka without even questioning them. And that created a furor in Tamil Nadu because it's a very major political issue in Tamil Nadu.
And you see, even the two parties which are at arms against each other, which is DMK and AIADMK from Ms. Jayalalitha, they both were together on this issue in Lok Sabha and
Every
Rajya Sabha.
party except Congress, including BJP, AIADMK, DMK, CPI, CPM, the communists, and all the regional parties, they were together because they were saying, you have to condemn this move. But what happened in Delhi, because of the pressure exerted by the Tamil political parties, Manmohan Singh had to give in and support the US-based resolution in Geneva, but not without the comedy of errors, because Pranab Mukherjee went on and said, we'll never let down our neighboring states, which is totally against what the Prime Minister said. So there were 10 different voices coming from one federal government, which is not in good foreign service policy of the country. And in terms of Sri Lanka, we have always made a mistake in terms of the foreign policy, because we don't know which side is right or wrong. Now, with China playing a leading role in Sri Lanka, India and US have joined together to fight a common enemy, which is not Sri Lanka, but China.
So it's a kind of a proxy war here.
Yes.
But somehow the Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee said our traditional stand has been that we have never supported any country specific resolution at the UN HHCHR. But I think they are aligning and coming to terms to handle this situation rather more smartly, if I would say.
Absolutely.
The good news about Indians and South Asians in particular, there is a study that has come in that Indians who have grown from almost 1.7 million to a shade under 3 million, which is a serious growth of 69% from in 2010, while the South Asians have grown by 78% from 1.9 million to almost 5 million. This is a very serious growth, and the voter community out of them has crossed a million mark. So we have almost 1 million voters, which makes us a very strong and significant community in this country. And the good thing is they are mostly staying in the major metros and major DMAs like New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Texas, and California. They are all over though, but it seems these are the most preferred locations, and amongst them, the number one preference for them is the Big Apple.
Yeah.
Prakash, PepsiCo seems to be realigning its top management, because there is a word out there, Miss Indra Nooyi may be called.
We published last week in Indian Express.
And
looking for alternative.
Yep, and you always do the breaking news, seems. And Indra Nooyi may be may be called in to head the World Bank. We did the story last week, and in ION South Asia also. And they are realigning the management and looking even to bring the PepsiCo's Europe head, Zien Abdallah, who may be positioned to be the successor just in case Indira chooses to leave and move on. Very, I would say, extraordinary success for her, and if she goes on to become the president of World Bank, you could not be bigger than that.
Exactly. Because traditionally, Americans have a say in the World Bank, and Europeans have a say in IMF.
Yep.
And India this time objected to saying that why should America control who should be the head of the World Bank. And now even Indra Nooyi becomes the head of World Bank. I don't think India is going to complain.
Last story we have, the best news that happened this week. I think we all been waiting for it anxiously, whether you like cricket or you don't, you watch cricket or you don't, you follow cricket. It's a religion. So it's like in India, even if you don't follow Hinduism as a religion, but it's a religion. It is the religion. Or now here we have Sachin Tendulkar, who is the god of cricket, 38-year-old, finally reached his milestone of 100 centuries. So he's got 51 centuries in tests and 49 in one-day international. At the Asia Cup last week in Bangladesh, he scored his 100, much awaited 100 with, I think there were 12 fours and a 6. Normally people criticize that he was very slow, but despite that he had 12 fours, 12 boundaries and a 6. And unfortunately, despite his century, India lost the match. But I think everybody was relieved that here is a man who deserved it, and whatever he has done, nobody's going to be coming close to it for ages, not at least in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
And the beauty about him is, when he hit it, he was kissing the helmet where there is the India's name. So he cares. He plays for India. He has burnt himself for India. He has suffered for India. He has scored for India. We salute him on South Asia.
Whatever you all said and done about his form or not being in form, there cannot be a better cricketer India had ever seen than Sachin Tendulkar.
Oh, not even India. I mean, today he's clearly called as the best cricketer.
And then he was jokingly mentioning everywhere, wherever he went, even the bell boys and the bus conductors and the cab drivers, and pedestrians asked him when is going to be your 100. Yeah. So he said, I couldn't wait to give them the answer. The answer came in Bangladesh. So as you rightly said, the India's gem in the world of cricket is Sachin.
Yep. And we had a fantastic conference last week, a multicultural marketing get together, and for especially for small businesses, which was in Long Island. And the organization, which is called Expose Your Business, who had partnered with ASB Communication of Ms. Nita Bhasin, they were here in the studio. Let's show them for a few minutes, and they have done extraordinary expos all over the country, and this was one of the most successful ones, where they are clearly presenting the multicultural community, in particularly I think the South Asians. They were here in the studio. So let's look at that. Mark, South Asians are today a role model community, amongst them Indians especially. 1 out of every 10 Indians is supposed to be a millionaire, and spending type in every field they are growing. What do you expect from this community? How to bring them into your expos?
Well, I hope that they will participate. We need them there. They're a very valuable part of the business community, certainly on Long Island and around the tri-state area. Indian people are, in every form of business, and we certainly encourage them to participate. We want them to exhibit, we want them to attend, we want them to share their particular brand of business sense and multiculturalism with us at our expo. Yes.
Nita, any plans to take it forward to other parts of the country, because it's all over?
Let's see. I always believe in taking baby steps, one step at a time.
Baby and firm steps. She does her homework well before she steps
Absolutely,
into
because your foundation has to be very strong. Yeah. And second thing which I want to say, whenever I go to these events, if you must have heard networking word from Mark many times during this interview. One thing which is lacking among our community is networking. Our community, our business people,
business networking,
I was
otherwise networking business. All weekend.
Yes, and everything. We are very good in kitty parties and gossips and all these things. So networking is good. When it comes to the business, I have noticed whenever I go to these business networking events, I hardly see any South Asian there. I see if there is any even Asian networking event, I see 99% Asians, 1% South Asian. I think it's not a comfort level. I think it's a cultural thing. We are a little shy. We are hesitant to reach out to people. We have to open up. We have to have our business cards. We have to reach out to people. Introduce yourself to them. That's what I see is happening. And we should not think about ourselves what other person will think. Yep. Just go for it. We are in a business. We have to pay our bills at the end of the day. And we know what we are doing. We are the best in our work. It's just you have to reach out to them. That's all we need to do. So I ask my community to come to these expos. Reach out to those people. Talk about your business. Tell them who you are. And I know we are the best.
Prakash, in the next segment, we have with us India's illustrious, I would say, corporate leading family, a business family, Modi family, and their son, Mr. S.K. Modi, is here. Not just a businessman, but a lover of art and a philanthropist. He's launching his Arts for India Foundation in New York on 26 April. We'll be taking a short break and coming back to him after that. Stay right there. We'll be right back with Mr. S.K. Modi